Hey folks, welcome back, or of course, welcome to Lone Pine Tarot for the first time if you're brand new here. And thank you so much for joining me today for our pick a card reading on a mystery message from the universe. Quite straightforward, but also a bit of a grab bag topic. We'll see what pops up. It could be something about career, relationships and love. It could be about your family, or it could just be advice in general for the path ahead. We're just asking the universe what is most useful for you to hear right now. Now, bear with me, I have just a short, quick personal announcement to make before we choose our pile leaders. If you did not see my community post the other day, I did in fact finally open up for you to purchase personal readings from me if you're interested in that. I had people over the past year and a half or so of this channel email me on occasion and be like, hey, do you have personal readings? Are you selling personal readings yet? And now I can finally announce, yes, I am offering personal readings as of this point forward. So if you're interested in that, please either visit the community post to see more details on what the offerings are, or you can drop down to the description box below, and I will always have that link there for you going forward in the future if you desire to purchase a reading from me tailored to your specific question or situation. So thank you for bearing with me through that little self-promotion. Let's choose our pile leaders right now. So asking Spirit to please come forward. Please guide us to the right cards for our highest, best good. Can you help us choose pile leaders for a mystery message from the universe for our community? Thank you. Right there, okay. And I'm feeling drawn to this one to start the draw. So there's pile 1, pile 2. And pile number 3, let's unveil the pile leaders together. So for pile 1 over here on the left, your pile leader is one of the tree cards. We have the fir. For pile number 2 here in the middle, your pile leader today is, we have one of the fantastical creatures, the dragon. And last but not least, for our pile 3 over here on the right, your pile leader today is another supernatural creature. We have the Boo-Boo Shaw, it's called. I believe it's kind of like a variation on the Boogeyman. So a quick refresher, pile 1, you are the fir tree. Pile 2, you are the dragon. And pile 3, you are the Boo-Boo Shaw. Cute name, but like I said, I think basically it's kind of like a Boogeyman, right? As I always say, though, if you need more time to decide on what pile you would like read for you, feel free to pause on the video right now, look at the cards a little bit longer, or if you're new to pick a card readings and you kind of want a suggestion on a method, or if you just want to take a quick few nice peaceful moments out of your stressful day, please follow my voice right now for what I call our intro's meditative moments. So close your eyes, take in a deep, cleansing breath, and imagine light filling your lungs as you do so, then hold it for just a few moments. And then when you breathe back out again, open your eyes, and when you look at the screen, what card are they drawn to most first? And that is the card that I recommend you choose for your pile leader. What feels right down in your gut, in your intuition? You'll know it. I promise you. Follow your gut. Whatever your method, though, you could even choose based on what looks the coolest. That works perfectly well, too. Drop down to the description box or the topping comment below when you're ready. Find the timestamp for your pile, and I'll see you in our discussion about what your mystery message from the universe is today. See you in the reading. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 1. Welcome to your pick a card mystery message from the universe reading today. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to the fir tree as your pile leader. So before every single reading today, I wanted to do a bit of a meditative moment of my own where I asked the universe to bring messages forth intuitively to me. So because this is a general reading, not all of these intuitive messages might resonate with every single person watching, but when those things pop in, I do like to mention them just in case it is resonant with someone out there. So for your pile today, what I was seeing was a lot about a feeling of like having a wounded heart in some way, of having like a really important loss or sorrow. Basically what I was seeing was kind of like a heart, but it was bleeding, like a wounded heart of some sort. I don't know if like recently you had a lot of hardship or you lost something, or there's just been this great sorrow. And especially too, even when you look at like the guidebook for this specific card, it does represent hope, because evergreen trees, of course, are the trees that don't lose their needles even in the winter versus deciduous trees, right? They represent something living or surviving even when things are at their coldest or the most difficult too, right? So it's like you in this phase of enduring, in this phase of keeping going even when the going gets tough. Also, there was a message that came forward with something to do with a car. I don't know if recently some of you perhaps like you're worried about something with your car, or like some big repair came up that you weren't expecting, or maybe there was even a bit of an accident. Maybe that's part of like the loss or the sorrow or like the woundedness I was seeing. So that's part of what the universe wants to bring forth to your attention today or talk about. And then also there was something about at least a few of you are worried about something regarding winter upcoming, or like sometime around Christmas, or something to do with Christmas, or perhaps the loss that these intuitive messages are referring to are related to like a past Christmas or winter season where there's like an anniversary of a loss or a sorrow from the prior Christmas or winter time. Okay, so that's kind of what I was seeing going in here intuitively. We'll see how that resonates with the different cards that pop up. So let's put your pile leader over here to the left as always. And I think what I want to do first for the reading today is draw your tarot spread. And then also one of the oracle cards. So Spirit, coming forward for my wonderful pile 1, could you tell me more about this loss or sorrow, or in general what you want to talk to them about today? You mean something with a car too, maybe? We'll see if the Chariot comes up, then we'll know maybe the car is for sure resonant. So, okay, let's split the deck. Right there. Okay, there's your 5 tarot cards, pile number 1. And then really quickly, let's draw the oracle deck I mentioned before. So, same thing, Spirit, could you talk about the matter at hand for pile 1 that you want to discuss with them? Thank you. Right there. Okay. There it is. Okay. Apologies for the wait, my wonderful pile number 1. Sometimes I feel for the cards with my hands, so it takes a second for me to really feel the energy of each card before it pops out. Okay, so let's first look at your tarot spread. Card number 1 is the World. Okay, so it is in the upright pile 1. That tends to most of the time represent a good ending of some sort, but in general, the World can represent an ending overall. So that might be reflective of like the sorrow or the loss that I was hearing about when I did the meditation before your pile today. Something came to an end. It's kind of like the curtain close of a chapter of your life, or, you know, even if maybe you lost someone else, you know, my condolences if so, pile number 1. That can mean like this was like the inciting incident to what's going on here was the loss of their life, or like the end of their chapter, so to speak. So let's see what else pops out, especially in the recent past card, which is the next one. We have the Page of Wands. Okay, exploring things regarding fire, so ambition and creativity, learning new things, being a student regarding those creative passions, or something that you're ambitious or really excited for. It can also mean exploring things with our willpower in mind. It can also represent a person, so because it's a court card, pile 1. So a Page of Wands as a person tends to be someone who is younger or at least youthful in energy. Could be a fire sign. It could also represent someone who is embodying those traits that I mentioned before, like they're exploring a creativity or a passion of theirs or their ambitions in some way. If you did lose somebody, this Page of Wands might represent who that person was, especially because this is like the recent past card. This can mean like, you know, oh, this is what's been on your mind. So it could have been this person, or in general, maybe as a recovery from the loss, even if it wasn't necessarily like a person that you lost, it could mean that you have been going through a phase of time where, I don't know, because sometimes the Page of Wands, you know, we see fire as like confidence when it comes to like the elements regarding tarot, but sometimes I see fire too as a time of just exploring ourselves and like what makes us feel alive. So perhaps maybe recently in recovery from sorrow or loss, you've been trying to explore things, you know, with like painting or music or writing, or maybe you just tend to be a very creative person in general, pile number 1. So Interesting. Let's keep going to the heart of the matter. We have strength reversed. Okay, a loss of strength, a loss of willpower. You were going good for a while, especially if the Page of Wands represents you, pile 1. But then right now, and kind of overall, like the underline of this message is a feeling of I've lost my willpower, I've lost my strength, I feel like I can't go on, or I feel like I've lost my verve for whatever it was I was trying to accomplish. Now, that could have been like the loss of this person, or the end of whatever this was, because it could be a loss, like I said, outside of a person. It could be like loss of a job, it could have been loss of, a home, whatever, however that applies to your situation, pile 1. In either case, it was like at first maybe you were kind of fine, and then now it's like, ooh, we went from this high energy Page of Wands down to now I feel like I can't grapple with life. I feel like I can't tackle the things that I need to. Maybe you've been feeling kind of depressed lately. Maybe you've been feeling kind of like low in energy. That's another way I would see strength reverse represented. Yeah, that definitely feels resonant with what I was saying intuitively. Let's look at the future card, recent or near future, and then we have the Five of Cups. Okay, sadness and sorrow. That is also reflective of like the loss that I was seeing, because literally the Five of Cups is the card of I've lost something and I am sad, right? Because I think this particular incarnation of the Five of Cups is, I believe it's La Llorona, right? Kind of a supernatural being that weeps or cries, just like she is here in the picture. And so yeah, it's like you've been going through a time of grief here, pile 1. You've been going through a time of sorrow or loss. Kind of repetitive there with the Five of Cups coming forward, but it is a nice indication that, we're on the right track here. And then last but not least, we have the Four of Cups, a little bit more water energy again right after the Five of Cups. And the Four of Cups is a card of not paying attention to things. It's also sometimes a card of apathy, especially because in this particular depiction, we have a man who, he's looking at the 3 cups in front of him, with these, I just noticed this too, it's really cool. Each of the cups in front of him has a fake bird made out of gold or like crystals, but he's not noticing the cup behind him, the real one, with an actual bird on top of it. So that kind of underlines a message of like focusing on like either, it's like noticing things that don't really help in the end, when really there's something behind you that if you turned around to notice, it would be like a path to like out of this sorrow or this feeling of loss or this sadness. Okay, let's look at your oracle card here before I really expand completely like in a whole picture with the tarot cards. We have, okay, responding, not reacting, number 9. The only control we have is in how we respond to the hand we are dealt. And, that too, pile 1, speaks of something that was out of our control. It's like a time of, the universe dealt us this hand, and, we might try to change what happened. We might try to change the fates, but it seems almost like it's what I call a tentpole moment in life, in which case it was something that was like in divine timing meant to happen at that moment in time. And it's hard to say that as a tarot reader, because usually like when we talk about the concept of like divine timing, or like, oh, it happened when it was supposed to, especially when it comes to something as heavy as loss or sorrow, when we're in that sadness, we don't necessarily always want to hear the words, well, it was supposed to happen, because I think, it tends to make us feel like, oh, well, that invalidates our sorrow over what occurred, which is not my intention whatsoever, pile 1. I'll always be the first person to say, like, please feel your feelings, please don't stuff them down. And especially, like, I'm seeing here, like, I think there was a really big loss, please emotionally process that. So when I say divine timing, I don't mean it as in, well, it was supposed to happen, so just get over it. Like, not at all whatsoever. But what Spirit is saying by bringing this card up is a reminder that there are always moments in our lives where things happen that are outside of our control. Okay, like it says, responding to the hand we are dealt. The only thing we can do is to take the cards from the hand we were dealt and make the best of things with what we were given. Okay, so this reading to me almost seems like a message of inspiration, a message of encouragement after whatever this hardship or this sorrow was. And especially too, kind of reflecting on the theme I was just talking about regarding, Like, feel your feelings, don't just stuff them down. Just because it was divine timing doesn't mean that you can't feel sad about it. In your near future position, you have the Five of Cups, which literally means in the near future, it is a time for you to grieve. It is a time for you to feel sorrow. Like, the universe wants you to feel, like, they don't want you to be sad, right? But, like, they want you to have time to process that. So I would almost say that if you're feeling guilty at all about maybe the time you've taken out to kind of process whatever this loss was or this hardship has been, if life's been a little bit slower just because, some days that's all you can accomplish is just, thinking about the thing that makes you sad. That's perfectly okay too, pile 1, because we're human beings. We have hearts. And we need to be, oftentimes, like 99% of the time, a lot of people's problem is they're not easy enough on their, like, themselves, right? Usually people are too hard on themselves, especially when it comes to, processing grieving and processing, hardships in life. We're not robots. We're not machines. We can't just insert a new repair and we're just ready and up to go. A lot of healing and a lot of picking up on life after we feel like the whole house of cards fell down, or like how everything just kind of like all those dominoes fell. It is a process. It's not, a clear A to Z thing. It's not a clear, one day you're sad, the next day, oh, switch, flick, I'm fine now. It's a slow, gradual process of, in the very beginning, obviously, like maybe every single day you're going to be really kind of sad or down or depressed, right? And then, maybe the next day after that, you make a little bit of progress here where, you do something creative, like the Page of Wands, like maybe you paint something, or maybe you write out your feelings in a journal, or, make some music, or just listen to music, things like that. And this reading really is emphasizing the healing power of creativity with that Page of Wands, okay? So please, in your downtime, as you're processing what has been going on, look to the healing power of creativity, both in experiencing the creativity of others through their art, but also the creativity of yourself in your own expression in creating things with your own two hands and your mind and your heart. And honestly, too, this reading is from the universe, just another message, too, of it's okay. Like, we acknowledge everything that you're going through. We 100% understand everything that you're going through. We know something ended here with the world, and you've been trying to truck on. You've been trying to be strong with that Page of Wands. You try to keep going, but we understand that right now is just a period of life very naturally where you're going to feel a loss of willpower or a loss of strength. That's just natural, right? I like to use metaphors with writing or literature in my readings because, as I always say, if you're familiar with my tarot readings, I like to emphasize that we really are heroes of our own stories, okay? So what you're going through right now, pile 1, often, like, it's kind of like that part in a story where, like the hero is doing really well for a while, and then, kind of past the midpoint of the story, they have a major setback, and they have what's called, like, the dark night of the soul. It feels like I've lost everything. I feel like I can't go on. I feel like there's no solution to my problem. There's no answer. And they go through kind of a sadness, kind of and even, too, in terms of the pacing of their story, things slow down. They're not just, running full speed ahead, power jogging into the story. They take time to recuperate and reinvigorate their forces and their own willpower and their own ambition in whatever it is they're trying to achieve, or whatever they're trying to stop or overcome or defeat, insert whatever their goal is here. And that's what it feels like to me right now for you, pile 1. So just consider this kind of like, it's okay to have a dark night of the soul. It's okay to feel this way. Though I will say with, there's a caveat here a little bit with the Four of Cups at the end here. With that message of like apathy or not noticing something. What I'm hearing from that pile 1 is there is something really good coming along that I think if you, and please process your sorrow and your loss, as I already emphasized, repetitively earlier in the reading, but it's something good that you might not notice if you get too entrenched in the sadness, okay? Just like he's really focusing on, these faux birds in front of him, like made out of gold and other filigree and jewels, but there's something actually healing and real behind him that he's not paying attention to with the bird that's outside. Yes, it kind of looks, less decorative than the ones right in front of him. It's just like a plain, almost like clay goblet, it looks like, or stone ware, porcelain. But it's real, and it's something that's singing to him. Also, you might find some synchronicities too in bird songs, okay, pile number 1, because of the emphasis of the birds in that particular card, okay. And also, too, I want to say that your spirit guides are around you a lot right now as well. That's the imagery I'm getting, and intuitively from this card, where it's like the two girls, and one is, she has her head in her hands, and she's just like, she looks like she's grieving, right? She's sad. But there's one behind her that is like patting her on the back and kind of giving her like a blanket of comfort just by being physically close. Okay, so that is your spirit guides also emphasizing, hey, we're here. And then also too, I just noticed there's birds in the fir trees too. So birds are a synchronicity to look out for with messages regarding this, okay? So, but yeah, please pay attention to the good things coming along. We'll see what the other oracle cards say. They might kind of indicate what the good thing is, which, you know, based on everything going on so far with this reading, I think it might be helpful for you to hear, like, oh, here's this really positive thing coming along. So it's kind of like a hope-inspiring reading too, which is interesting because the keyword for the fir tree in this deck is literally hope. Like, the universe wants to give you hope again, okay? So let's look at your tea leaves, and then we also have a Sacred Destiny card to take a peek at. So, Spirit, what's the good thing coming along for them? What's the good thing? Coins, money will be coming to you. Okay, so especially for those of you where maybe some of the loss was regarding like a job or money-related hardships, that's part of what's coming to you that's good. Money. So there's... or I mean, even if the loss or sorrow was not related to money, it could have been, you know, like a loss of a loved one, right? Of course, once again, my condolences if so. But there is at least a bit of an uptrend coming in terms of your finances, it looks like. So that's really good. Let's look at the other tea leaf here. Anything else, Spirit, that's good coming their way that they might not notice that they should pay attention to? Anything else, either the same thing, just expanded, or different? There we go, that one right there feels right. We have the diamond. You will be receiving or giving a precious gift. Beautiful. And of course, when we think of diamonds, we think of like marriage proposals, right? So for those of you who are in a relationship currently and you haven't been like betrothed to yet necessarily, that might indicate that a ring is coming. Okay. And I don't say that often, but when I see a diamond, I'm like, that kind of sounds like maybe a marriage proposal, right? That, or in general, it's just like this really awesome gift coming your way, especially related to like physical things, finances, but then also with the diamond, we think of like a physical gift of some sort, right? And also too, diamonds are representative of the eternal, of being timeless, and they're very, very hard to dent or break. So it feels like too, like a long-term kind of gift, or at least it's a gift of something that, it's not just like a fleeting, like, oh, here's a candy bar. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you eat it one day and you're happy for like 10 minutes, right? Off of just a candy bar. It feels like it's something more meaningful than that, whatever the gift is, okay? And then let's grab your Sacred Destiny Oracle. Anything else about the path of happiness they're wending towards, Spirit, after this loss? There we go. That's the one. Okay. We have embracing. So we have imagery of where two different biomes meet. We have the marsh, which is the blurred line between water and land, right? With the crane sitting in it, or egret. I suppose it might be an egret. It looks like a crane to me, but once again, we have a bird. So birds are, once again, pile 1, emphasized as a synchronicity or a symbol from your spirit guides to look out for during this time. But embracing too makes me think, once again, kind of like the hug of this girl to the girl that is grieving in this picture. You know, even kind of the coloring is similar with them having white hair and then like the white crane. There might actually even be a crane in this picture, is there? Let's see. It might not be a crane. They're different kinds of birds. I see like a peacock and I see like a sparrow, but in general, yeah, birds. And an emphasis again that, you know, you are protected in this time. You are being looked after, even if you don't necessarily feel it all the time. Good things are coming. We do see like white as symbolism of purity. We see it as symbolism of innocence. We see it as symbolism of like a clean slate or of like light and goodness, right? We see it as, you know, even when I talked about like the dark night of the soul, it's like the dawn after the shadows of the sorrow or the loss that a hero goes through, right? And embracing too is, I think, just another reminder from your spirit guides to embrace the good things that are coming your way. You know, your first inclination with this reading might be because of everything you've been going through, and it's 100% understandable, pile number one, because when we go through hardships, that tends to dent our optimism a bit. We think, oh man, I feel like I've lost everything or something really important to me. How can anything be ever good again, right? But if we're willing to embrace optimism and hope for the future, just like, you know, the keyword for, dented the camera there for a second. Just like, you know, like the keyword for your pile leader says hope. If we're willing to hope and willing to embrace optimism, it helps us lift our head higher so that we can see the good things coming our way. Okay, so just be reassured. Spirit 100% understands what you've been going through. They 100% understand how you're feeling, and you're 100% valid in maybe taking, you know, time and life just a bit slower, okay? Like I said, we're not robots, we're human beings, and we need time to heal, okay? So look for that happiness. Look for that gift coming your way, especially material, financial things, but substantial in terms of, like, it's like a long-term help, right? You know, and even it kind of looks like dawn here in the embracing card. It could be, well, I suppose it could be sunset because there's fireflies. But that just makes me think once again of the imagery with the dark night of the soul. And still seeing the light in the shadows. You know, even the fireflies are like lights in the shadows, right? Hope in the darkness, okay? So keep your hope even when times get dark, pile one, okay? The good things are coming. Things will get better, I promise. And look out for that gift coming your way. And also, remember the advice of indulge in your creativity or creative things in general as a part of, you know, maybe a tool to help with the healing process, okay? That's often why, well, at least everybody I've ever known and myself too, you create because you have something to say or process deep inside that you can't say necessarily with words, right? It's just like in Disney movies, for example, whenever we have a character sing, at least the old philosophy with Disney movies was you have a character sing when there's something that they want to express that can't necessarily just be said in words, right? So think of it that way. What do you want to express that you can't necessarily just express in words? And follow that towards creativity, okay? Good things are coming, right? So that is your reading for today, my wonderful pile number one. As I said, your mystery message from the universe basically was a message of hope and optimism and acknowledgement of everything you've been going through. Of course, I hope most of all that this reading helped you. That's what I care about most with our readings. I hope you walk away feeling like at least better, a little bit lighter of the shoulder, feel like a pressure off of your chest, right? Also, too, of course, that you liked it and that it resonated with you. And if so, please like the video itself. Please comment down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And as is our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile one. Hello there, my wonderful pile number two. Welcome to your mystery message from the universe reading. And as you recall, you were drawn to the dragon as your leader today. Now, before every single reading today, I performed a little bit of a meditation just to see what intuitive messages came through, which is what I like to do before we pull cards. And from my notes based on that meditative session, what really came forward prominently for you, pile two, was it's like this feeling of you being on a boat in the middle of the water, in the middle of like a lake, all alone, and this sensation of being stuck and not sure where to paddle, or it's like you're trying to paddle out of somewhere or away from something or towards some sort of goal, but it almost feels like you're spinning in circles for whatever reason. Like it was not only a feeling of isolation, but also like having to tackle things alone, but then also being confused and not sure, well, how do I get out of this? Or how do I make progress in this area of whatever it is I'm trying to achieve? Okay, so that's at least like the emotional energy that was coming forward. And in general too, it was, you know, looking even at the symbolism of like a dragon, you know, at least in Western literature and folklore, a dragon is always kind of seen as a challenge. Like, you know, you have to defeat the dragon to achieve this goal, or it's like kind of an obstacle in a path, okay? Because they're a little bit more scary than I think, you know, like the Eastern interpretation of dragons being more like a sign of good luck. And so it's like a monster in your path or being like scared of this challenge in your way. And a tough challenge too. It's not something easy necessarily. And also might not just be like a fear of the challenge itself, but it's a fear of knowing exactly how to tackle it. Like, do you tackle it gently, with, say, like, you know, like more soft power, with empathy, with heart, or do you tackle this thing more aggressively, like you literally would a dragon, you know, pull out the sword and get ready to fight? So it's something along those lines. I think it's like an obstacle that came up recently, or some sort of challenge you're fearing and not knowing how to paddle away from this. And on top of that, as I said, it's like feeling like, oh god, I gotta do this alone. Like, that was a really prominent sensation that came forward. So let me put your pile leader over here, and we're going to start the reading today with a tarot spread and one of the oracle decks. So actually, let's draw the oracle card first. So Spirit, can you tell me a little bit more about what you want to say to pile 2 today with their mystery message? Something about this dragon obstacle, or they're feeling alone and having to tackle something. Okay. And let's feel for the right card. Okay, there it is right there. That feels right. Okay, and then let us draw your tarot cards. Same thing, Spirit. What's going on? What's the context? Right there, okay. Okay, that one took a second to feel for. I was like, wait a minute, where is it? And 5. Thank you for bearing with me in the wait for the card draw. And let's look at your cards today, pile number 2. Okay, so let's first look at your Lantern Oracle. We have the Eternal Gatekeeper. Okay, so just kind of like dragons are a challenge, you know, at least Western dragons, or they're seen as like an obstacle, like guarding things, you know, either it be, you know, a princess or a hoard of gold, etc. We have the Eternal Gatekeeper, right? So 32 is the number. It says acknowledge, assert, and protect what is right for you. So it might actually be, pile 2, that you're not necessarily trying to overtake a challenge separate from yourself or a goal separate from yourself. Maybe it is you're trying to protect something from what others see as like a dragon to be taken down, or like like you're the obstacle in the way to their goal. Okay, so you might just be the dragon yourself, but like in a positive way in this situation. Like, you're trying to protect your hoard, or like what is owed to you, or like what you've worked for. But then it's like others are trying to overstep that. Maybe that's that feeling of isolation I was picking up on, like being stuck in the middle of a lake in a boat all alone. Like no one is with you. Everyone feels like they're kind of against you in some situation. And some of you, that might be related to career. It could be in family or like friend group relationships, things like that. Let's look at your tarot cards, because that'll provide us more insight. We have the Knight of Wands. Okay. Look at that. A boat in the middle of a lake. Might not be able to pick that up on camera, but there is a boat back there in the water behind the knight. Okay. Interesting, resonance and synchronicity, I guess is what I would call it, popped up. And the Knight of Wands, pile 2, is often about taking action regarding things that we are passionate about, things that we feel a spark for, okay? Also creativity, things like that. Can also represent somebody that is an action taker, who is a fire sign, or at least is embodying that energy. That could be you, pile number 2. It could also be the feeling of like the other people involved here that maybe are against you or trying to go after what you're protecting. They feel like Knights of Wands kind of bearing down on the gates that you're trying to protect here, okay? And it's interesting because we have the knight pop up right after we were talking about dragons, right? Because in medieval literature in the West, traditionally, who would take down a dragon? Well, a knight, right? So that's why I see this as, you know, being the inciting incident card in my spread, as I always call the first card. It's like the knights bearing down on the gates to you, okay? So could even just be one person. Technically, it might not be more than one, but in which case they are like that Knight of Wands. Let's look at the second card. We have the Nine of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so that makes sense. We have a card of, you know, he worked so hard to grow these watermelons. He worked so hard to bring forward this really abundant crop. But when the Nine of Pentacles is reversed, pile 2, that often represents either like the thing that we worked for, we're not getting everything out that we put in. It's like the metaphor I like to use is you put a quarter in a gumball machine, but the gumball doesn't come out. You're like, man, I put money in there and effort and time. Where's my reward? Where's the reaping of what I sowed, right? So it could be that maybe even the issue is like other people are taking from what you've worked so hard for. Like that dragon guarding the treasure hoard that it typically does, like Western dragons. So really, honestly, it's not so much that you're defeating a dragon, you're like the person who might be viewed as the dragon in the story of others, but it's not the truth. It's you're protecting what you're owed or what you worked for, but it feels like there's so many people with grabby hands that just latch on to what you've done and what you've poured blood, sweat, and tears into that they don't necessarily deserve. So honestly, it kind of feels like, I don't know if they're like leech type people, pile 2, that's been like in your life recently, or it could be just one person, right? And it's like they're so ready and willing just to take everything that you worked hard for that they didn't put a cent of effort into. Oof, that's not fun. No wonder why you were feeling so alone in that. And once again, too, we have a lake here in the background, or at least it's like a coast. And there's a boat here, so we have another boat in water imagery with this particular spread. So I'm glad my intuition was picking up on the right symbolism there. Yeah, don't be afraid. I know we haven't even finished the spread yet, pile 2. Don't be afraid to protect what you worked hard for, okay? I want to emphasize that. And then we have the Page of Pentacles reversed. Yes, okay, so this is the heart of the matter, or the core card, as I like to call it. And the Page of Pentacles reversed is often like an inability to explore something regarding career or finances or material things. A more like straightforward way of saying that, a little bit, more detailed level, is like in your situation, it could be that you worked so hard to do all these things and make all this money or whatever it is. You're not getting the gumball out of the machine, but not only that, it's blocking you from trying to accomplish the goals that you're trying to explore regarding career or finances, okay? It's like everybody's in your way. Everybody's just trying to block you, or them being leechy or kind of needy or like asking for too much is like blocking you from the goals that you have in mind regarding like finances, home, career, etc., okay? Yeah, no wonder why you're being a dragon in a good way, because holy crap, there's a lot of barbarians at the gates trying to knock everything down and take everything. And then we have the Tower reversed. Okay, so pile 2, I do want to emphasize this. Because you got in the near future position the Tower reversed, that means avoiding a disaster. If you are worried about this blowing up, like you're worried about them getting to you, or you're worried about them breaking past your barrier, you're worried about them taking that which you worked hard for that they don't deserve, they're not going to. Because the Tower reversed is a disaster avoided. Okay, so that is the good news coming forward, at least so far. Let's look at the outcome card, or the final card, and then we have Janus with the 2 of Wands. Okay, once again, we got that lake imagery behind him with boats on the water. I don't know why that keeps popping up, but you have 3 of them. You have the Knight of Wands, Nine of Pentacles, and then the 2 of Wands all have boats on water imagery, okay? And the 2 of Wands is being able to make plans for the future. So that blocked energy here of the Page of Pentacles as the central card reversed of, well, I would have the means to do what I want to do, but other people keep trying to take from me or block me. That's going to be unblocked. You're going to be able to make the plans that you want to make there with the 2 of Wands as the outcome. Okay, so really, to summarize this reading, pile 2, it's a reading of a lot of people, or at least one particular person, has been a pain in your butt regarding your financial goals, has been blocking you, maybe taking too much from you, etc. But you're going to avoid a disaster, or like the worst case scenario you're fearing with this, and that will unblock and you'll be able to plan for the future as you were expecting to. Okay. Interesting spread. Let's see if there's any other messages here before we draw the other cards. Let's looking at the elemental abundance. We do have a lot of earth with 2 Pentacles cards, which once again emphasizes that this is probably likely something to do with, material things, finances, career. We have 2 wands, so 2 fires, right? And when fire and earth meet, really, when you think about it in terms of like the physicality of nature, it is a balance of give and take, right? Earth grows, earth provides, Fire destroys, fire takes. Now you can also argue, well, fire also provides, because, heat, cooking food and whatnot, but it's that eternal constant fight of balance between the two different elements. It's not like, how air and water help earth in terms of, water the plants or disperse seeds, like how air does with the wind for earth. It's, earth and fire are kind of opposed. So it's like that feeling of that isolation I was talking about earlier with the intuitive message. It was like a feeling of like, oh, everyone's against me. Like, you're the earth trying to be productive. You're trying to grow things. And there's just this horde of fire that keeps coming and snatching away the things that you've been trying to grow. Okay. So not a fun time, but it is going to change. It is going to get better. Pile 2. And 2, we even see, once again, a crop here in the 2 of Wands with the grapevines that are growing quite lushly at the top of the archway over Janus, right? Where he is, there's just clusters of grapes. So it makes me think of the imagery of finally attaining that reaping of what you've sowed in a positive way. Because traditionally the 9 of Pentacles here, which it's watermelons in this deck, but traditionally, most versions I've seen of it, like, it is like someone enjoying an orchard of grapes after they've worked so hard at growing everything in the vineyard, right? And so with the grapes here in the 2 of Wands, it's like, okay, finally you're going to taste the fruit and the wine of everything you've been trying to accomplish, okay? Interesting. And then 2, the particular depiction of the dragon here is of a young maiden embracing a dragon, because I can't remember exactly what country, but I think it's the British Isles, one of the countries in the British Isles. I know the girl's name is Maud, right? So for those of you in the comments down below, if you're familiar with the folktale, please remind me. But she's embracing the dragon because she actually raised it. She took it home, or it was like a wyvern, I guess, technically, and she fed it and she grew it, which once again, brings forth to mind, you investing in something. Like, she invested in this dragon by feeding it and petting it and giving it a nest to sleep in. But it's also like the side of the dragon that is positive, because it's hugging her back, it's embracing her back. So it's not like, if you fear at all, pile number 2, that you're being like a bad dragon in defending what is yours, that card is like an emphasis of you're not like wrong in trying to defend what you've worked for. You're not selfish for trying to keep what you've put effort into to yourself. I mean, there is something to say with being generous, but the unfortunate part of generosity is that oftentimes when people aren't necessarily the nicest, as we all know, they take advantage of generosity because they think, oh, this person has a big heart, I can just come out with my hand open, like, gimme, right? So that's the other part of generosity, is discernment and being discerning, okay? So also, too, if you're in a moment right now, or recently, where you've been debating whether or not to give someone something or to share something with someone, but you have a bit of a hesitance there, that is your gut saying that you're having a hesitance for a good reason. I think it might be a little bit of a nudge towards, like, to protect what you have rather than just keep giving it to everybody or this particular person, okay? So let's look at your other oracle cards, pile number 2. We're going to look at your 2 tea leaves as well as a sacred destiny card. Anything else you want to say about this situation, pile 2, spirit, or spirit guides of pile 2, universe, etc. Okay, we have that tea leaf there. We have the cracked cup, dissatisfaction with life. Okay, yeah, so that kind of makes me think of the frustration you've been feeling recently, or maybe that's even part of why or how other people have been trying to glomp on to what you're, like, what they're asking or wanting from you is, oh, I'm dissatisfied with life, or kind of like a woe is me story, or, something along those lines. Let's grab the other tea leaf here before I expand on that. Okay. Right there. Okay. We have mice. Discord amongst friends or family. Yes. Okay. So that, I apologize, it's a bit repetitive, pile 2, but that is a reflection of what I was seeing. I think whoever this person or people are, it's friends or family, like the mice card says. It also reminds me of how mice get into, like, grain stores. Okay, so a farmer works really hard on growing this crop, say wheat or rice, whatever, and they store the grain in stores, right? Silos, whatever. And what happens is, or what can happen if the farmer doesn't guard it enough, of course, as we all know, mice get in, and mice and take and take and take, and they eat and they eat and they eat, and then the farmer and his family and whoever he sells his grain to doesn't have anything to share with anyone else, much less himself, because the mice came along who didn't work for it. They just broke in and took it, right? And they take and they take and they take, not knowing, how it's harming the farmer that they're taking from or the family, etc. And so I think that's kind of maybe the feeling you're having with these other people is they feel like mice eating away at your grain stores. Okay, you're like, I worked so hard for this. I deserve this. I earned this. And now I have these little barbarian, pilferers that are breaking in past my gate that I'm trying to protect here, past my silo, and just stealing everything away. And they justify it by saying, well, I'm dissatisfied with life. Or they might say, oh, well, it just happened to me because I'm unlucky, but you're lucky, so you should share with me, or like things like that kind of attitude, right? Which, sometimes that is true, pile number 2. Sometimes people really are unlucky and they're, down on their luck and they just need a helping hand. But if you find that they keep repeatedly asking or keep repeatedly taking like mice do, that's an indication as well that you're in the right to defend yourself and defend what you have earned, okay? So beware the mice. Beware, it might feel like one grain of rice or wheat at the time. Just bit by bit by bit. Oh, I just need $5 here. Oh, I just need this here. Oh, I just need this over here. But over time it adds up. And at the end of it, then the farmer has nothing to support himself with because he gave so much away, or he didn't care about the mice taking away from his grains, okay? So protect your grains, your money, your finances, your resources, your job, things like that, okay? And then last but not least, we'll have a Sacred Destiny card here. Any other advice or a hint on the path forward for pile 2, Spirit? You are going to avoid disaster with this pile 2, so do be reassured of that. We saw that with the Tower reversed. And I think you will get to a point of being able to go forward with your plans, and just like the Two of Wands was saying. But Spirit really does acknowledge what you've been having to protect lately, Okay, so this is the one, and then right there. That feels right. We have Voyage. And, interesting, we have a whale. But what is the whale carrying? A weight underneath itself, just like people clinging on or mice clinging on. Although, it's a bit more positive connotation in this card because it looks like a baby whale that the parent whale is carrying. So it could be like a parent-child situation. Maybe like it's a parent or a child who's been drawing too much from you. It could also be, though, potentially like someone who's younger or someone who's older, I guess. It's kind of a, like we have a young figure here and we have an older figure here. And Voyage. I almost wonder if part of the plans that you want to enact on are like moving or like traveling in some sort, but it's like it keeps getting denied to you because other people keep taking from you, or this person does. Or it's like you want them to move on, or like you want to be able to move on, but you keep getting stuck and entrenched in whatever this is, okay? It's like you work so hard for this pile 2, and you want to move on. You want to take that voyage. You want to go forward, just like the Two of Wands is the card of planning and designs that we have for the future, but it just keeps blocking. Yeah. And then 2, we have the water imagery again, just like I saw in the intuitive messages I got with the meditation before your pile of being stuck on the lake alone. Okay. A lot about water, so it makes me once again think of like taking a journey of some sort. So, if there's anything you really, like, final statements that you take away from this reading today, pile 2, number 1, the universe sees the way that you're suffering, like the dissatisfaction with life here, with what's going on. You're not a monster. You're not a mean old dragon for defending what you worked for and defending your own goals and dreams, okay? Even if other people make you out to be the monster, it doesn't mean that you are. It just means that, sometimes when people make you out to be a monster, it's because they fear that they themselves are the monster, so they make themselves the victim in the story so that they don't feel bad about what they're doing, even though deep down they know psychologically they're the ones in the wrong, okay? So sometimes when they do that, they're projecting. If they call you a monster, they're projecting. their own insecurity about feeling like a monster themselves. Okay, so just remember that too. Please go forward with your dreams. Please don't be afraid to defend yourself. And please know that whatever worst case scenario you have in mind with this, you're going to avoid that disaster in the near future with the tower reversed, remember, and you're going to be able to go forward with the plans that you have, okay? Just keep defending yourself. Keep planning and dreaming. And just because you defend doesn't mean that you're a bad person, okay? Choose your own satisfaction with life. Like your card says here in the Lantern Oracle, acknowledge, assert, and protect what is right for you. I mean, yeah, no one really deserves the fruits of your labor except you, pile number 2. You can be generous, but as I said before, generosity requires discernment, because sometimes people will take advantage of those with a big heart like you have, I think. I'm getting the sense that you have a big heart. And unfortunately, there are people in life that will see a big heart and look at it. They don't see a heart, they see a gold mine. Okay, so protect your gold mine, okay? Protect yourself. And that will set you on the right path towards the plans that you have. Okay? You'll make it through. So that is your reading for today from the universe, your mystery message, pile number 2. I hope, of course, most of all, that it helped you. That's what I care about most. But also that you liked it and it resonated. And if so, please like the video. Please comment down below. And as I always say, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And thank you so much if you choose to do so. And as is our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 2. Hello there, my wonderful pile number 3. Welcome to your mystery message from the universe reading today, and as you recall, you were drawn to the Boo Boo Shah as your pile leader. So I was correct in the intro when I think I said it's like a variation on the boogeyman. That is 100% what the Boo Boo Shah is. It's a regional variation on it. It's actually, I think, like a Wisconsin in the United States version of the boogeyman, which, even the way you look at the card, I mean, it's kind of a creepy figure peering around a door. It's kind of almost like a sleep paralysis demon, so thank you to those of you who did pick this card today, even though it was maybe a bit creepy looking, right? No one likes sleep paralysis demons, but it is a reflection of a very common theme throughout humanity of the fear of the unknown. And speaking of, when I did a pre-meditation session before your reading, I did that with all the piles today. I just wanted to see, what messages come forward intuitively before I even drew the rest of the cards. And what I was seeing with your pile today was a lot about that fear of the unknown. Because the Boo Boo Shah, or boogeyman in general, is the fear of what is undefined. It's a anxiety about what we do not know or what might be lurking that we can't necessarily see. And the feeling energetically I got off of your pile was the sensation of something chasing you, or feeling to have to constantly outpace some sort of never-ending monster, some sort of overwhelming thing coming your way that it's like, as soon as you think you can rest, all of a sudden you look behind you and then there's that thing looming once again and you have to keep running, pile number 3. Now, of course, I don't literally mean a monster, right? But in terms of your life in a more applicable way, intuitively I was hearing it might be either some sort of deadline at work, or it could be something regarding career in general, where maybe the job you work, it's there's always these looming deadlines, or it feels like nothing ever really gets done or accomplished, or it might just be an overall sensation in your life that you've been dealing with recently, where you feel like you're always outpacing disasters, or you're always what do they call that, one step ahead but 2 steps back. It's that feeling of never making progress and this overwhelming deadline or fear kind of pressing down on you, maybe you're making steady money with your job, but you feel like there's still debt chasing after you that you can't necessarily, bucket yourself out of. Or it could be an existential fear of, I'm trying to think of a good example, Like, will I have enough for retirement one day? Or, will I have enough for rent this month? Or it could be, will I ever, outrun a loneliness that I feel? Or like, it's something along those lines. Of course, your other cards will provide us more insight into what that specifically might be. But to this being a general reading, it's going to be probably different for every single one of you. So I guess the question to ask yourself, just focusing on this card at first, is what is the boogeyman in your life right now? What is it that you feel you can't outpace, or that always matches your pace and you feel like you never can get away from? Okay. And that's, I think, the topic of your reading for the mystery message today. So let's put this over here to the left and draw some cards. We're going to, and even empathically right now, pile 3, I feel like my throat is kind of tight. I feel kind of like panicky. I don't know if like maybe recently you've been having a lot of anxiety, a lot of like a fear of speaking about something, or like a fear of, it could just be like the overall anxious unease regarding whatever this is. But I am picking up on it, pile number 3, which my condolences, because it's obviously, even me just picking up on it, not fun. I've been there myself too. I think we all can sympathize with feelings of anxiety. It really does feel like a boogeyman of some sorts in your life, pile 3. Let's look at this deck here. I'm feeling drawn to this section. There we go, right there. I like to feel for cards with my hands, so unfortunately that makes my drawing a bit slower, but I tend to find it increases accuracy, at least in my own experience, so that is why I am doing it. So, Spirit, anything else you want to say about this anxiety, this boogeyman in pile 3's life? What's going on here? Okay. Okay, and that's where we want to draw from. Beautiful. Thanks for bearing with me through waiting for the draw, pile 3. Let's look at your Lantern Oracle first. So we have, interesting, woman supporting woman, number 22. Together we can transcend our individual limitations. So right off the bat, pile 3, I want to say this could either be some help that is on the way regarding what you're fearing, or it could also be advice in general over what it is that is like the boogeyman in your life right now that you're trying to outpace. I think maybe you feel like you have to do things a little bit too alone. Maybe you're a bit of an independent sort, a little bit of a stubbornly independent sort, which, hello, that's me too. I totally get it, pile number 3. This is probably my pile. But at the same time, it's not bad to rely on other people when you can. And specifically being woman supporting woman, we look at that as gender, but really, extrapolating this to like a wider, broader way of application. It's really people that are of like mind or like similar to you, people that understand you, people that get you and what you're going through. So possibly pile 3, if this is available to you, try to see if there are any either currently existing groups in your life right now that you already know, or people in your life that maybe you could seek out that have gone through similar things as to what you are having issues with, to help provide support, at least in terms of, if not literal support, but also like emotional support over what's going on, because it's just a big emphasis on group work rather than working alone in a silo. Okay, let's look at your other cards to get more of a full picture. We have the Ace of Cups reversed. Okay, so that's the inciting incident, what I call the first card in my spread. And interesting, an Ace of Cups as an inciting incident reversed would tend to mean like either a new person that you met that like things didn't go well with them. It could have been maybe like dating. Maybe you've been trying a lot of first dates and it's not working out. And so you feel kind of, maybe the boogeyman leaning up on you as you feel like you're racing against the clock to find someone by a certain age. Or it could also be a fear of like a fear of being alone, a fear of like, oh man, I feel like nobody likes me, or like you have an insecurity around that. It could also be in general too, though, It's interesting, pile number 3. If it's not relationship related like that, it could also be that this boogeyman is something regarding, like, having enough. Because specifically the imagery with this Ace of Cups is they're pouring, it almost looks like cream or milk into this bowl. So it's like having enough and enjoying, like, the cream or, like, the milk of life. But reversed, it's lacking that. So for some of you, this could also apply in the way of, like, maybe you have enough to survive, but it's like, in terms of actually having enough to enjoy life more, you've been lacking recently. Like, maybe that's the boogeyman that's been knocking down on your door, is this fear of, will I ever get to enjoy life instead of just surviving? Okay. That might be part of it too. Okay, so let's look at your next card. We have the King of Cups. Emotional satisfaction, security, emotional boundaries, being emotionally wise. Lots of cups so far, so lots of water, which in tarot water is related to relationships and our feelings and our intuition. You know what it is? And I'm sorry if this doesn't resonate with every single one of you, but at least for some of you, I feel like part of your fear is you feel like you are more advanced in emotional intelligence than a lot of other people are, or like you feel like there's something about you that's like either old soul or a lot different than other people, in terms of you feel like you're misunderstood or you'll never find another person that completely understands that part of you or like where you're coming from. Does that kind of make sense, pile 3? So maybe even like the woman supporting woman card could also be a reflection of your seeking of a group or of like-minded people. But the Ace of Cups reversed is like a fear of, or not finding new relationships that match what it is that you're looking for. It's like an emotional disharmony between you and others, but it's not necessarily your fault, pile 3. It feels like it's more a loneliness of being misunderstood or of people not being on your same wavelength than it is a loneliness of inherent lack of value. Does that make sense, pile 3? Okay. Because I feel like you're this King of Cups. That's what I'm getting. And then for the middle card, we have the Tower. Okay, so the Tower is the heart of the matter, the core card. Kind of the underscore or underline of everything going on here that the universe wants to talk to you about. And the Tower, for those of you familiar with tarot, as you know, represents a disaster. Also, there's 2 people here that are like falling out. Like literally they're falling out, having a falling out. So maybe you literally had a fallout with someone recently. Maybe that's kind of what the Ace of Cups reverse represents. And even though you were like the mature person in the situation, I'm getting with the King of Cups, it's like it still fell apart because someone else fumbled the ball, is what I want to say. And so it's either like a feeling of, I mean, the Tower is kind of like that boogeyman. It's that, oh God, this disaster happened. Oh God, like, am I ever going to recover from this tower falling? It could have even been like a major relationship in your life, pile 3, where you broke up, or it could have been, if not romantic, like a platonic relationship between you and a family member. And specifically, it looks like it's a man and a woman here falling out. So 2 people of the opposite gender, specifically. And it's like, once again, I'm drawn back to the woman supporting woman. It's like the universe saying, we understand and we 100% empathize with what you're going through here, of this feeling of loneliness and this falling out that was such a big pivotal moment in your life. Or even if it wasn't a single event, pile 3, it could just be the Tower is a feeling of, whenever I attempt anything in a relationship area of my life, I feel like it always ends in disaster. So it could just be like an overall theme that you're feeling. Like that's your boogeyman, right? I almost would say for those of you focused on romance a lot recently, like maybe that's been your goal. And I hope this isn't hard to hear, but I think the universe is like saying for you to focus on friendship rather than romance right now. It's like finding like minds in a platonic way over a romantic way, if that is what you've been seeking. If not like a romantic thing, it could also be like, you needing to shift your social groups to people that are more like-minded rather than just desperately looking for people to hang out with just because you feel alone rather than that you actually click with them. Okay, there's a bit of a message there coming through. And once again, it might not resonate with all of you, but at least for some of you, that is the message I'm hearing. Okay, let's look at the near future card. We have the Eight of Cups reversed, okay? Having some struggles emotionally moving on from that fallout. So if it was a relationship that had a fallout, pile number 3, in the near future, I am seeing you still kind of emotionally processing this, and also an encouragement to try to emotionally move on, maybe through the power of friendship, okay? That is very, very powerful when it comes to healing from other relationships. Is, you know, we might have one relationship end in disaster, but if we can find like-minded individuals that are supportive of each other, right? They support you through your hard times, you support them through their hard times. That's what friendship is, right? That can help us emotionally move on because we feel supported, and we see the positivity of how relationships can work even if we feel like a major one just fell apart. Okay. And then let's look at your final outcome card. We have the Ten of Swords reversed. Ooh, okay, so it's good that it's reversed, pile number 3. It looks dark on the surface because obviously, like, that's kind of a graphic, because typically the Ten of Swords operate as about a betrayal. This woman was trying to hold on to the boat, and the man cut her fingers to make her, like, leave, okay? And then she also got a bunch of spears, right? Not a fun image, because the Ten of Swords can mean, like, being at the end of something or a betrayal, someone stabbed you in the back, but reversed, pile 3, and this is where the positive message comes in, is a recovery over what felt like a betrayal, or the ability to move on after we felt like everything was at its end or that we couldn't keep going. Okay, so I'll say this. For those of you who have been in a relationship recently that was important to you, like, say, a significant other, romantic, right? And it completely ended in disaster and you're still kind of reeling from it, this reading for you is not only a promise that, like, things will get better, obviously with the Ten of Swords reversed as the outcome, but also to really lean on friendship in this time instead of seeking new romantic relationships. If this was a romantic relationship, okay? If this is like struggles you've been having with something other than relationships romantically, although you have a lot of Cups cards, which makes me think, I mean, it's water, right? Relationships and tarot. I would say lean into social groups right now to help you, I mean, even if it's not support in a physical way, like, let's say you've been struggling with, like, financial survival right now, which, you know, once again, my condolences for that too, pile 3, unfortunately very common nowadays with the economy and everything going on across the world. I don't care where you live, right? Even if people aren't there to help you financially because they themselves are also struggling, sometimes the best way to get through hard times is through shared experiences of hardship. Okay? I mean, it sounds corny, but I'm going to use a fantasy reference because that's me. It almost makes me think of a Frodo finding a Samwise Gamgee to get through the hard times, through the hard journey towards their destination, right? Okay? Sometimes all you can do is find a Samwise Gamgee in your life and struggle and go through hardship together. And in fact, that is often where the best relationships are forged. Pile number 3 is in hardship, is in sharing struggle together, okay? So share your struggles with others and, you know, of course, be empathetic when they share their struggles with you. The universe is really heavily emphasizing that, okay? And I think, too, because of the King of Cups popping out here, intuitively, I feel like you're that King of Cups. I don't know if you are a water sign, pile 3, or you just have a lot of those placements in your chart. But in general, it represents a person who is very emotionally mature, who is very emotionally healing to others. I think not just for your own benefit, you know, connect with others, but also for the benefit of others, of giving back to them in a reciprocal way, okay? I almost kind of see it as, you know, different legs of a stool or different legs of a chair working together to hold up the platform, right? And you're one of those legs, and then other people can be the other legs holding up that platform together. Or, you know, maybe if you've been having housing issues recently, it might be a good idea to be pushed towards the direction of, like, moving in with other people, like, for, like, rent purposes, for example. And, some of you might look at that as, oh man, I wish I was more financially independent, or I wish I didn't have to rely on other people, especially if you tend to be kind of independent, pile 3. But you know what? Like, we might look at it as, oh, I feel like a financial burden to someone else, or, I feel ashamed or whatever. But honestly, the best healing in life comes from when we're close to other people in positive ways, okay? So there might be something in that situation for some of you where you really make a good friend for life through that shared hardship of renting together, or like a lot of you may be having to rent together just to afford the bills, right? It feels like it sucks on the surface because, money's tight, but there are a lot of benefits to being in close quarters with other people that you get along with, okay? And that's really what we do lack in this world nowadays, pile number 3. I think the number one thing in this world that people struggle with, at least from my perspective, is an ability to be vulnerable with other people and to share our hearts with others. I think, as a society in general, at least where I am in the West, from an American perspective, at least that's just my worldview because this is where I am, people are afraid to be, more communal. People are more afraid to share burdens together. I think, because we have such a focus on individuality and individual responsibility, which are good things. It's good to be responsible and individual, especially because, if you go too far the other way, pile 3, with communal thinking, well, then you get groupthink, and then you get people that are afraid to stand out or have different opinions. So there's pros and cons to each side, but at the same time, especially when times are hard, it's okay to lean on other people, okay? And that's how you defeat the boogeyman, is through the help of other people, okay? So, sorry that was a bit repetitive and a little bit long-winded, but just to apply to all of you, whatever your boogeyman might be in the situation. Okay, process your feelings going forward, It's okay to feel sad over what you lost or whatever the disaster was. That's A-okay, and the universe would never say to you, like, hey, pick up and move on and don't have any feelings like that. And neither would I say that to you, pile number 3. That's why the 8 of Cups reversed came out. It's acknowledging a struggle with emotionally moving on with something, but there's always a dawn after the dark. There's always a new beginning after the end, just like the 10 of Swords reversed says here as the outcome, okay? So have hope in the future and strong connections. And also, too, if you've been feeling isolated or lonely recently, I think this is the universe saying, if you put effort into it, if you really, oh, how beautiful. We have a change for the better with the butterfly, like I was just going to say. Well, the card just said it for me, but I'll say what I was going to say before the card just flipped out and I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say, I think, pile 3 was, where was I? 1 second. Oh, if you've been feeling isolated or lonely recently, pile 3, as long as you put effort into it, I think this is the universe saying there is an opportunity for you to find like-minded people, or perhaps if it's like a romantic relationship you're looking for, after having not maybe had one for a while, doing and taking this advice would be a good way to wend your path towards that thing that you're looking for in terms of connections with others, okay? Anything else you want to say to them, Spirit, from pile 3? Anything else you want to say about their adventure forward, away from the boogeyman? Right there, okay. And we have the pig. Beware of greed. Interesting. So the pig, beware of greed. And maybe that's part of the issue you had with the fallout with other people or another person. Maybe they were a bit greedy, pile number 3, okay? Or maybe they accused you of, oh, well, you're too needy, you're too clingy, like, oh, you're too greedy with my time or my emotions, etc. Or it could also be a representation, too, of you having a fear of leaning on other people because you feel like, oh, they're going to think I'm greedy or needy. Okay? That's another way that card can manifest. But like the butterfly says, pile 3, a change for the better. Things are going to get better. If you do rely on other people and connect with other people, changes will come your way that are for the positive. Because butterflies do represent change, right? They represent positive transformation. They go from one stage of life to another in well, I guess it depends on the insect. I can't remember if butterflies are chrysalises or cocoons, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? And sometimes in order to get to that new form, they have to break everything down. There's a tower moment, a disaster. But just because everything breaks down doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. It doesn't mean that it's going to stay in that state. Sometimes the darkest or hardest times of life are a tower falling down to make way for something even better. And that is the secondary interpretation of the tower pile 3, is the tower falls because it was built on shaky foundations anyways. It wasn't secure in the first place. So if it falls, and there's an analysis of why it fell and how, you can build a better tower next time, just like the caterpillar becoming something better and more strong in the form of a butterfly. Okay? So let's look at your Sacred Destiny card. Any parting message for them, Spirit, from pile 3? Let's see. Feeling towards the end here. Okay. There we go. That's the one. We have Voyage. Oh, you know, pile 2 had this one. Voyage. And, you know, pile 2's message was more about people leaning on them too much. You have the opposite message, pile 3, where people, like, you need to lean on other people more, okay, and vice versa. And Voyage here is interesting because it's a parent whale, or at least an adult whale, holding a baby whale underneath, carrying them along, helping them along on a journey, okay? And I'm sorry it's repetitive. You're probably going to be like, wow, you're repeating this message a lot, but we have a very synchronous reading here, pile 3, of supporting others and vice versa here with the two whales, one carrying the other as they journey across this voyage, okay? So on your path forward, away from the boogeyman that you're running away from, be it a relationship that fell apart, a fear of being alone, financial survival related things, whatever your boogeyman is right now, don't walk away alone. Seek other people, okay? Don't feel like you're being greedy or needy. Because the other thing is, too, is when we rely on other people, you know, of course, to a moderate extent, that is an affirming thing for other people to realize, oh, this person respects me and my advice, or this person needs me. A lot of times, you know, you can build self-esteem, or really what it is a compliment when people rely on you, at least to a moderate extent, right? Not too much. If they rely on you too much, then it becomes a burden, right? But we don't want that. But you have the opposite problem, I think, pile 3, where you don't want to rely on other people, like, at all. But think of it as the benefit that you might bring to them, too, by being vulnerable and relying on one another, okay? And that will help you emotionally move on from where you were before. There's a really big emphasis, too, on platonic relationships here, okay? Also relationships with people of the same gender as you, right? And the universe is saying here with that 10 of Swords, like I said before, reversed at the end, there is a path forward past the pain, past the potential betrayal that happened before. You are on your way out, leaving the boogeyman behind. Okay? Just don't go it solo. So that's your message for today, my wonderful pile number 3. Of course, most of all, what I care about most is that it helped you. So if so, please like the video, please comment down below, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and thank you so much if you choose to do so. And as is our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3.